people go to block, it's like this bowing motion, right? They start high and then they just push straight down like they're bowing. When really, the cross-court block is taking that shoulder and penetrating across the net. And the ball is going to start high where they're contacting it, but as it starts to move diagonally, it gets lower and lower. It's only crossing the net by inches.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be reaching up with that inside hand, because that's not where that hand's going to meet the ball. And oftentimes you see people get hit under because they're acting like the block is one unit.
What's up, Alex here. Welcome back to the Learn Beach Volleyball Fast podcast, and welcome back to the monster 4.5 hour interview with two-time Olympic medal coach Steve Anderson. So I don't know, there's not too much to say in this intro except that I'm happy you're here. Maybe you did listen to me when I said in the first episode that you have to make sure to listen to this whole interview because it's amazing. And I should just repeat that and again tell you that you should listen to all of this. I can't tell you if the second part, which you're going to listen to now, is better than the first or not. They're slightly different. In this one, we talk maybe a little bit more about certain techniques of the game. But yeah, both of the parts are just amazing. So what I'll do in this part is I'll just replay like 30 seconds of the conversation where I cut it off from the first part, just so that you get back into the groove of the conversation, and then I'll let it roll from there. All right, so let's get going.
But so when one part of the game is suffering, focus on the other parts that you know you can do and do those well. And then what starts to happen is, because you build on success, the other part frees up and comes back online.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't come back online, at least you're not losing points in all these other areas. But what you see is one part's failing, and now I can't play at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now the passing starts because you allocating resources to worry and stress, and now I can't. Now I just go my pad. Now look, everything's going wrong. How can no? Or I'm tired and I'm jumping this low, like 2 inches lower than I normally do. Now I can't hit the ball. Every ball's in the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. You're hitting the ball a meter over the net, half a meter over the net, and now you can't jump 2 inches, and now your hit drops
that much. Yeah.
That much? That's how you feel. Oh, I don't feel well, so now I can't perform well. That's not true. It's not true. So just really focusing on that. And I use confidence and certainty. Confidence requires most people, unless you're narcissistic or psycho or whatever. But it requires you to have some good things happen.
Uh-huh.
Most people can't have a series of bad things happen and still feel confident.
Mm-hmm.
They start to question themselves or something. But certainty is your bottom, for me, for sport, it's your bottom performance that you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
So if my bottom performance is, I know that if I'm standing on the court and I'm cross court and someone hits a ball in my vicinity, I can dig 7 out of those 10 balls.
Mm-hmm.
I can be sick. I can be tired. I didn't have to sleep well. I can have family issues. If you hit 10 balls at me cross court, I'm going to dig minimum 7 of them. If I'm really feeling it and everything, I'm going to dig all 10 or 9, or I'm going to make one up and dig 11 of them. I'm going to dig one backwards. But my bottom performance, I'm not going to go down to 3. I'm not going to shank 7 balls just because I'm tired or my back's hurting. I'm going to dig minimum 7 of those balls because of my technique, my experience, my cue reading, everything I've trained. If you hit the ball in this area, I can trust that's my bottom performance. So the goal is to get your bottom performance to be a reasonable performance.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know where all my bottom performances are. That's certainty. I don't have to feel good. I don't have to sleep well. I know I'm going to be able to perform these skills at this level. And then what happens? I perform the skills at those levels. Some start to peak. And I start to get some confidence because I start to get some results in a row. Now the confidence comes on board. All the chemicals come on board. boom, now we're flying way up here. But if I depend on confidence, I'm way up here, I'm flying because I just made a block, and now, oops, I shanked the ball, and oh, my partner did this, and 2 or 3 plays later, now I'm in the toilet.
Yeah.
And it affects all my other skills because I don't feel well. Oh, I'm not playing well right now. Oh, see, there I go. I shanked another ball. Oh, I doubled on that one. Oh, man, everything's going horrible. Oh, I got a good kill. Oh, yeah, they shanked it. Okay. Oh, it's an ace. Like a roller coaster. So for me, confidence enhances certainty. Certainty is the foundation. You don't make the foundation confidence because confidence comes and goes. Could be 1 play, could be 3. But most people can't maintain feeling good, thinking positive thoughts when they have more than 2 or 3 bad things happen in a row. How resilient are you? You might be able to do 3 or 4. What happens if 3 or 4 bad things happen?
Then it's too much. Yeah. So this certainty then is the way to practice that? Is it to deliberately put yourself in super shitty situations, don't sleep, get stressed out, blah, blah, be angry, and still learn to play volleyball in those states? Is that how to get your...
I don't think so. Not that it's extreme. It could work, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that you build, like for me, I close my eyes. I do things that let me know that I can do this. One thing I really like to do with attack, I really like to disadvantage the hitter. So we'll use a double block or a triple block. You have to hit the first ball in a certain area. It has to be cross court or it has to be line. And the defense can cheat. They know where you're going. So they can cheat. They can do whatever they want to do. So what ends up happening, or you might split the court in half. So we have the half court. They have the whole court to hit into. You can only hit into this half court. So you're totally disadvantaged, or you can't use your favorite plays. You can only use these plays. And then your brain goes to, well, I'm at a disadvantage. This is unfair. We got to get rid of that. The unfair thing is competition. It doesn't have to be fair. You start, oh, that's fair. Oh, the referee cheated. They made a call. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Argue it, do whatever you want, but don't carry that into the next point. Get rid of that. So what ends up happening is you have to score the ball on the line, and you got 2 blockers and a defender. So what happens? You go up, you hit a line shot. They dig it. It's too easy. You go and you try to blast one through, double block, boom, boom, thank you. Then you go up and you figure it out. Oh, hand, out of bounds. Well, I'm not going to do that every time. Why not?
Because then they're going to figure it out, or?
Figure what out? I'm hitting the outside hand out of bounds. What are you going to figure out? Figure out that the ball's going out faster? It's like...
Or they pull their hands down, or?
Okay, great. Pull your hands down. Bang! I get my... So what ends up happening is you, instead of making up excuses, feeling bad, all that other stuff, you just get the simple solution that works. You don't mess with it. So there's a solution that works. I can get a hit. I'm going to hit something down the line. Maybe the guy shanks it. Okay, great. But out of 10, out of 5, how many are they going to shank? Off the hands is a great solution, and beach volleyballers don't like to wipe. I don't know why. It's crazy. They feel like they have to hit the court.
So you think that's an underused and developed skill?
Completely. Because here's the problem. You got some big blocks, you got an antenna, and you got 8-meter court. The hitter doesn't have great advantages always, especially some of the defensive players, if they're small or whatever. You got some big blocks against some good defenders. Shots are not the solution. You have to have a wipe in your game. If you have a wipe in your game, who cares how big they are?
True.
And what does it do for you? You stay powerful. You feel like you can hit. The defender has to respect that you're going to use power. Even if you win them all with shots, now the defender's in chase mode. You're giving them an opportunity. They don't respect your power. So the first goal for hitting for me is respect. You have to know that you can't pull and that I have the ability to hit the ball with power to score a kill. And now you got to do the correct thing. One person has to block, one has to play defense. And, so you have to have respect. And people hit for all sorts of other reasons, ego and all that sort of stuff. I say the first thing is respect. If you're picking the wrong hits and you're getting blocked and dug, they don't respect you. They don't respect you. Because at some point it comes down to strategy. If someone's making these plays and you're defending it all the time, what do you think about them? You're like, you don't even know what play to hit. You're just up swinging away, and here I am digging you. It's just like you start to have contempt for them almost. Like, beach volleyball smarter. You're not even strategic, man. How you playing with, all these little crazy conversations. So the first thing you earn is respect. And once you have respect, now they're not quite sure you have some options, right? And now if you can back that power up, and I don't think you need a lot of power to win. I just think you need the respect of power. And then you can, these other options, now I have to overcommit. I can't just stay here and run down your play or leave late. That's a quality play. So if I want that play.
If you have the sharp shots,
the little small shots, the jumbo, just a variation. What I call the zero challenge. I'm moving this way. You see it, you hit it that way. I'm standing too far over here. You hit it there. Now the line shot's the classic one for me. Ken Steffes kind of created this play, I think, from my experience. This high line shot that, like on the 8-meter court, at 6 meters, it's still above the head and out of the reach of the defender. And then it comes down.
Okay.
And people hit their shots so they hit their line shot shallow, where it's on the ground at 6 meters. So the person running across the court can lay down. They're on the ground and the ball's on their hand. If that ball's still high at 6 meters, going all the way back to 7.5 plus meters, you can't lay down. You have to get that ball higher. Well, you can't get it higher. The only way to get it higher is to get over sooner so you can be standing up because it's at a high level, not a low level.
So basically you have to be faster of a runner to make it to that shot.
Who's that fast?
No one.
So you have to cheat. You have to leave early, or you have to shift your starting position. As soon as you do that, now you're vulnerable to the cut.
Okay. So basically a line shot where you almost try to make it like a box shape, like it's going flat and then it's dropping in the end.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Ken Steffes, when he's playing with cards, I think he innovated this shot. And what he would do is he'd kind of go up and stick his hand up. He wouldn't use the full, and he'd be like, whack! And it's this really short swing where the ball has lots of topspin and it travels and then drops. Whereas the more traditional ones had a loop in it.
Yeah.
Or they go down, they're like a kind of a hit or a loop.
Yeah.
And he came with this flat one, and it only has so much. It didn't have muscle in it. It just had speed. So it would go so far, and then gravity would get it, and the bottom would fall out.
Interesting.
And with the top spin, so you think about the wind. So lift, like an airplane wing. The bottom of the airplane's flat. The wing is flat. The top is curved. So the wind is moving slower over the top than the bottom, and you get lift.
Yeah.
Well, when you put top spin on a ball, the air over the top is faster. You get drop.
Yeah.
So, bang! When you put a lot of muscle in it, it's fighting gravity and it stays up in the air. But when you put a lot of rotation on it, but not much muscle, it travels about 7+ meters and drops. It just doesn't have enough muscle in it to make it go 9 meters, 10 meters. If you overswing on it like a hit, it'll stay in the air. But if you just give it a little whack, it'll travel about 7 meters and drop.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting.
So for the listeners, when you whack the ball here in person, you hold the arm quite far up, and then it's just a small movement, the wrist puts spin on the ball.
Yeah, from bottom to top.
Yeah.
Pop! And so it goes over the blocker. It's still high at 6 meters. And then it's got that last 2 meters to really get back down to the ground.
This sounds like some lost knowledge.
I think so. Because I remember when he started doing this play, and you know what? Maybe it's my imagination. That's how he used to hit it. It's the way I teach it. and it's very effective. But that's how I remember seeing him do it, and it was 9-meter court, and he played with Karch. And if you go back and you look at that gold medal match, and the semifinal match, if you just go back and watch Kent play, and he's kind of a lost person because he left the AVP. Like there was a big issue with him in the AVP, and he left. So he doesn't get celebrated like a lot of the other. He's the original gold medalist, first gold medalist. And when you go back, I wish I could get a tape of the. I think it's the quarterfinal between. I think it's the quarterfinal between Karch and Kent and St. and Carl Hinkle. St. Smith and Carl Hinkle. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was incredible. And I think Carl missed an ace by like an inch or so that would have been the match. Just the serve just went out right between the two of them. St. was skyballing, and it was a crazy match. It was just absolutely crazy. I haven't been able to find it anywhere. You can see the finals and all that kind of stuff, but I think it was the quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal of what?
1996 in Atlanta.
Olympics.
The Olympics.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Karch Karai, Kent Stafford, St. Smith, Carl Hinkle. This was the battle of the American teams. And St. and Carl represented the FIVB, and Kent and Karch represented the AVP. And it was a big battle between the two. And I think that match in particular created respect from the AVP to the FIVB.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's use the power of the internet and tell the listeners that if you happen to have the link to this match or whatever, send it our way.
If you have the link for this match, please.
What's up, Alex here. So in this episode, I'm going to do a few cut-ins where I'm going to comment some things that we're discussing in their interview. And here's the first one. Basically, I just wanted to say that this quarterfinal match that we are talking about and that we're looking for, I have found it. So there is video of it. And so I'll just post that in the show notes of this episode and you can go watch it. I will highly recommend it. I do understand why it's a legendary match and why a lot of people are talking about it as basically maybe the best match that has ever happened. So if you like watching volleyball and want to see a good match, go and check it out. All right, let's get continued.
If you have the link for this match, please, because that was St. makes this crazy dig. I don't know. I can't remember how the ball got to the back line, but he's retreated and he's made this like full layout, and he's on the back line. Look, this one hand dig, and the ball goes all the way to the net, and Carl just goes up and crushes it, and it's like, yeah, I don't remember seeing anything like that. It was a heck of a match, and the sky balls, and Kent was moving over to take them because Karch was under so much pressure. He was under so much pressure because it was this battle between the AVP and the FIVB, and I think Karch was playing a big role in that because AVP was trying to do international events, but the FIVB is like, that's us, you can't do it. And then, how can you tell us what to do? And it was a big battle. I was an AVP member at the time, and the communication back and forth, it was a big battle. And St. left to go play FIVB. He used to play with Brooke Vanderway. He ended up playing with Carl Hinkle. And Karch and Kent were the best team at that time. And Franco and Roberto, the Brazilian team, they were one of the best teams, but Franco ended up hurting himself at the Olympics, so you didn't get to see the best of them. And so it was Carl and St. and who were really representing the FIVB in that tournament. And they almost lost, and I think they got respect out of that one. And yeah. I mean, the U.S. men ended up with, they got gold and silver, and the Canadians won the bronze. But the Portuguese guys, Maya and Brina, they ended up fourth 2 Olympics in a row.
Okay.
And they were winning this game against Dodd. It was Dodd and Whitmarsh. Dodd and I can't remember. Dodd and Whitmarsh, I think. They were winning. Yeah, Don Whitmarsh. They were winning. And then, unfortunately, Whitmarsh was going for a block and came under the net, and Brenya got taken out, and he wasn't able to really be his full self. And Maya went crazy and like was digging, and it was that was could have gone either way, man. Could have gone either way, So I think it really helped create respect between FIVB and AVP, because at that time AVP was the best league in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We were the best league in the world, and but the FIVB, man, they've done a lot for the sport. Regardless of politics and what you think about the characters and everything else, the sport has grown.
It has.
The sport has grown, and now you have world-class players all over. You can't say U.S. and Brazil are the places anymore.
Oh.
You have to go there to learn. It's not the case.
No, that's true. Yeah, I haven't put my mind into enough of that to understand it. Like I can watch FIVB nowadays and see certain things that I maybe don't like, and I can listen to Sandcast, and maybe some episodes there have made me understand like what I would like, what people appreciate with AVP, for example, certain styles of announcing and whatnot, and that probably the FIVB would be better off if they did that. Yeah. Would be maybe more entertaining for the fans and whatnot, but I really don't haven't had time to look into that. There's always so many sides to everything.
Yeah. Well, the lifeblood of the sport to me are the people who in the communities.
Mm-hmm.
That person who takes all the kids to practice, and coaches, and just those the ones who hold up the sport, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And goes to all the tournaments, and still mentoring those young kids, and volunteering and putting on events, and that's what makes the sport what it is. And it's hopefully we can create a professional product that rewards people, where you can have a job, a career and this is the measurement that I use. I have to be able to create a career for you that you could create for yourself with your college education. Otherwise, it's a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You have a family, whatever, you have a college education. I can't ask you to work for $35,000 when you can make $80,000 with your college degree.
Mm-hmm.
How's your wife, your kids gonna, you know what I mean?
Oh.
You volunteer your time. So we at least have to have careers where it makes sense for people to choose our sport instead of what people do. They go, okay, I have to stop doing volleyball and I have to go get a real job and do this.
Oh.
I'd like to get rid of that conversation. I'd like to have real jobs in volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's administration or coaching or an athlete, you can be a full-time athlete on a domestic tour and make as much money as you could with your college education. And in North America, a lot of volleyball players are college educated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the focus is, because we don't have a pro tour, so it's a university.
Yeah.
But yeah, like indoors in Europe and South America and Asia, you can make a living, a good living, maybe a better living playing volleyball than you could if you went and got a job with your college degree.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case with beach.
Yeah.
But I think it could be and should be. So you have your international tour, you have your Olympics, but you have to have a domestic competitions like in Brazil. You have to have domestic competitions that employ coaches and athletes all over the country, where young people are inspired because it's a career path.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this alternative thing that you do and you have to get a job later, or it's your career. You build a career out of it,
mm-hmm.
and your coaches, you have a career.
Interesting. I'd love to ask you more about that. First, I need to, with allocating resources, I have this one question in my mind that I need to get out of here so I can fully have my brain access for other things that we're going to discuss. Okay, back to that line shot, the back into the 7.5 meter line shot. He gives away with his arm swing that it's a different arm swing, it's a higher one, that he's going to do it. So does that mean that he still had other options to hit the ball in other places of the court with that same arm swing also? So you're not fully giving away what you're doing, but...
This is the way I think of it. Think of a middle hitter. What's the technique a middle hitter uses? They present
in indoor volleyball?
Yeah.
I know a little bit too little of that.
They get up, they present their hand, and when if the ball is set to them, then they can execute the hit. It's the same thing. Presents the hand. You can still swing. It's not your full swing, but it's in beach volleyball. It's a swing. It's a powerful swing. You can go line. You turn the wrist. You go cut.
Yeah.
Like it's so. And here's the thing that I find: when you go up and you present your hand, what does the defender do? They go. They get on their toes. They lean forward. They're like, you're gonna. It looks like a hit. When you put your hand up and you drop your elbow, or you turn your palm up, they're thinking shot. So as long as your elbow is open, you have the potential to hit.
Yeah.
And from the defensive standpoint, your cue reads like a hit. It doesn't read like elbow in front, low,
shot put kind of thing.
Pokey fingers, hand turning up. Then you can't swing, right? So, and like I say, and let's say it's 75% of your power. It's still a hit. It's a reasonable hit. So it's not like you've given up your ability to hit. And here's what I like about it. When you present it like that, if the defender commits, all you do is turn your wrist.
Yeah, it's really easy to make it.
It's really easy. So I just, but the thing about it is, it's because of the top spin and the drop, it travels faster than your loopy line shot, or at least the perception is it travels faster.
Yeah.
And it doesn't there aren't any cues to read, because I can turn my wrist. Go ahead and start early if you want to.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you don't go, pop, it's gone. It's like,
yeah.
Just because you have information doesn't mean that it helps you.
Yeah.
It's and then once you do it a few times and you get a winner, now it just creates more stress. Oh God, here it comes again. Which way is it going this time? And then all you gotta do is pop, swing one off. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it.
Yeah.
Like I say, it may not be what he actually did. And if you ask him, maybe he describes it a different way. That's the way I saw it, and that's the way I teach it, and it's very effective. And so, whether it's the actual technique or not, the elements are there.
Okay.
Present that hand, puts the defense on alert. It's going to be a high contact.
Yeah.
The top spin makes it fast. It's very flexible with being able to go the line or cross or jumbo or whatever you want to do. You can still, get a reasonable power ball on it, the same way you can indoors. So, yeah, I think it changed the game. I think it changed the game. And if somebody else did it before him, I don't know who they were, because the first person I saw really use that play effectively was him, and everybody else, the line shot, even good ones, they were loopy.
What's up, Alex here with the second cut-in. So if you are a beach volleyball nerd similar to me, which I'm guessing you are since you're here listening to this episode, you might be wondering the same thing as me, which is what did it actually look like when Kent did these line shots. So what I did was I went and found some old videos of him playing, and basically compiled some line shots of him, just so that I would be able to see and sort of analyze and see what it looked like, and see if I agree with what Steve is explaining here. So I did that, and then I was hoping to get a comment from Steve. I sent him the videos and like, hey, is this what you were thinking of, or is it something else? I haven't been able to get a hold of him since then, unfortunately, and hopefully one day he will get back to me. But anyway, I thought that I would put these video examples in the show notes as well, so that you can go and watch them and make up your mind. I mean, Steve does say that, this is his way of explaining it, and someone else might explain it in a different way. I might explain it in a different way. Kent might explain it in a different way. You might end up explaining it in a different way, depending on what you see on this video or this video clip. So I don't know. I just wanted to provide everyone the maximum resources, and I think providing those video clips or the links to those YouTube video clips is something that I should do. So that was it. You can find those in the show notes, and if Steve gets back to me and adds into the conversation even more, then I'll put links or whatever text or whatever I'll get from him into the show notes as well. All right, now let's continue with the interview again.
And if somebody else did it before him, I don't know who they were, because the first person I saw really use that play effectively was him, and everybody else, the line shot, even good ones, they were loopy.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So there's you're not gonna know what I'm talking about here because it's a YouTube video that I made, but for maybe people that are following, so I made this video about basically wrist snap, which is a very controversial topic there's a lot of coaches that have looked at, the slow motion video, then they say there's no wrist snap, doesn't exist, whatnot. So I made a video about that where I basically, it's like a wrist flop with a semi-contracted hand.
Okay.
And yesterday, so I looked at your video yesterday, and I was like, fucking shit, I just redid your video, basically.
Cool, good. Yeah, good.
But so the way I interpret it is, it's possible to full swing with the stretch over your core.
Yeah.
And do that into a wrist snap.
Yeah.
And then it's also possible to just do the wrist snap where it's not really coming from the core. You basically just throw the hand up, and that's basically the technique I teach in this video. Okay. So it's way simpler to learn than the full body stretch thing into a wrist snap. And you can also do the full body stretch and not really snap.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to hit the volleyball. Basically. But for me, it sounds very much like you're trying to, or that you're describing the sort of non-core driven wrist snap hit that is a very high contact, and you just basically lift your hand up.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Cool.
there's none of the opener. It literally is you present your hand. So here's the thing. So you see my elbows in front. It's not back like this. Right?
Yeah.
So here's where, and I had to discover this for myself because I hurt my shoulder. Remember, 1986. And so I had to learn an arm swing that I could do with this shoulder. And I didn't have surgery or whatever. And that's where that arm swing came from. And there's no pressure on your shoulder when you use that arm swing. So this other thing, the end part of it is when the elbow's in front, your wrist is cocked. If you do nothing with your hand, and you just straighten your
elbow.
Yeah, straighten your elbow to where that at some point your arm is facing down, and when that happens, the wrist naturally comes over.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do anything. So all I have to do is the hammer.
Yeah.
And with the hammer comes the snap.
Yeah.
And it's in perfect timing, like a golf swing. It's because if I have to manufacture it, you see a lot of people go, do the wrist.
So contract the wrist to make the wrist snap.
Yeah.
Rather than just relax and let it come as a secondary effect from the elbow.
Exactly. Now you can do a small, like Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali have this thing in common, where if you watch some old movies of Muhammad Ali shadow boxing, he's got his hands open.
Okay.
They're not closed, like closed fists. The hands are open. And so the first part of his swing, his arms are relaxed. So he can get maximum speed because he's not contracted, stiff arm. And then at the contact, boom, there's a contraction.
Okay, he contracts the arm and the hand and everything.
Everything. So now you get the full force. You get all that speed, mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
So you get all of that, and then at the end of it, you get the hammer. And Bruce Lee's the same sort of way. And if you look at their speed's incredible because there's no tension in it until they're making impact. And both those guys, Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee, they could hit you hard and they were fast. And then, so it's the same thing. I look at the same thing for the volleyball swing it has structure, the frame, the shape of it, the track is where the structure comes from. But there's no tension in it until you're making contact. Now you can do a little contraction to get it started. So if you just let your wrist flop, it's going to flop. But if you give it a little contraction and release.
Like at the ball contact.
Well, like starting it, like you take a rubber band and you stretch it.
Yeah.
And then when you let it go, wham, it snaps forward.
Yeah.
Same thing here. You get it going.
So you get the wrist going from the momentum of the elbow, but then once it starts going, then you add a little bit of.
Yeah, do swing, and I can't swing anywhere near where I used to, but I think you get it going and then let it go. So try that. Just try starting it and then letting it flop.
Like.
Yeah. So listen to this.
This is not going to make sense to listeners.
I know, right? We're actually swinging right now. We're swinging right now. So this is interesting because I don't know. At some point, I stopped being able to swing fast. So think about a sonic boom. Okay, this is mass times acceleration. So it's not necessarily how hard I can swing and all that sort of stuff. It's this swing just keeps on accelerating. And most of the time when people hit, because they want the tension, they decelerate. Or there's some sort of deceleration. So so by loading and just letting it go, starting to let it go, you get this. You get that little sonic boom where the air just gets broken.
Oh, so you're talking about the sound when you...
The sound. And what you'll hear, you'll see people who they're very strong and they hit the ball very hard, but it's more like a bat.
Yeah.
Which is different than the whip.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is get mass times acceleration. The hand's the mass. How fast can it accelerate and put that force into the ball? And so what ended up happening, Eric Sato was a guy, 5'11", Japanese-American guy, played with Karts on the indoor team, won a couple of gold medals, might have won more than that. 5'11", and him and Steve Timmons on the U.S. team. Steve Timmons was the middle, and Eric was like the sub guy, comes in off, gets you a jump serve, ace, and a dig. And they're the ones who hit the ball the highest. Like when they played indoors, they would have the hitting contest. And these two guys left, the big guy from the middle, who's big red seeing guy, and this 5'11" guy who's just going up and just wham! Bouncing up into the, and this is mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to hit a ball. There's a heavy ball
that
knocks you over. But then there's this fast ball that's like ping, 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 that just flies off. You can't catch up to it. And there's maybe people who combine both, where they have a fast, heavy ball.
Yeah.
But I find that it's pretty extreme. Like there's people who hit heavy, and the ball hits you, it hurts and wants to knock you down. All their energy's in the ball. Then there's people who, like the ball flies off you. It's not going to knock you down, but you can't see it. It's like, bing, bing, like a bullet. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And this is the swing for the bullet. This one's the one that the ball just disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's interesting. There's so my goal, my vision for myself is to become a very complete beach volleyball coach, so that I can teach all these like sub techniques, and like maybe find a player. Okay, maybe you should learn this sub technique. Maybe with the commitment level you have, maybe you don't want to go to the gym for half a year. So learn this technique.
Yeah.
It's gonna work with this strategy, and like sort of give solutions to people like that.
Yeah.
One thing that I haven't had the time to look at, I know there's certain very muscular people. Probably with shorter arms than I do. I have sort of flimsy arms and sort of long.
Okay.
I'm not the flimsiest, but I don't have the shortest arm either.
Okay.
But people that have a little bit shorter arms and they're very muscular and very strong, they can basically just go up and like just muscle the ball, and there's a lot of power in the ball. That way, their technique looks horrible, but they can hit very hard. Not really pros do this. I haven't really seen any pro hit like this, but on this like intermediate level, you sometimes find these like gym guys that can just like hammer the ball.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you think about it, the ball's not that much.
It doesn't weigh much, no.
It doesn't take much for a human being to put some force into it. You think about kicking a ball and all that kind of stuff. You can get the ball to go. You can get the ball to go. We forget about that. It's like we're not like hitting a medicine ball.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the technique, you can have some really interesting techniques and the ball will go. What I'm looking at is a few things I'm looking at. One is you'll hurt yourself. How many times can you do that swing before you start to cause some injury? How many times can you replicate that swing technically and get the ball to go where you want it to go? Does it have a flaw in it where the ball is going to take off, not go? Like, how accurate is the hit going to be? How much energy does it take? When you're winning tournaments, it doesn't help you when your goal is to win to be able to play 3 matches and then burn out.
Yeah.
You got to play 7. It's a long. And the other thing is like, what advantages does it give to the you or the defenders? So, if the blocker, there's nothing worse from a blocking standpoint. I think. Well, first, getting wiped. Blockers hate to get wiped because they think they're doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You're getting wiped. This is what it is. But when a blocker thinks they have a block, and then it goes. Like people who can go up, and because you're moving at a certain rate when you're winding up and getting ready to swing, and then it's gone because it's a quick swing versus a really strong, predictable sort of swing, right?
Yeah.
So as a blocker, you much rather have information and be able to challenge the ball, and instead of the ball just disappearing on you. And the same for the defender. Like as a defender, what sort of cues are you getting, and how long do you have to process the cues before the ball is actually contacted? And, also the angles, you hit the ball with a certain amount of force, you get certain angles. You hit it with more force, the ball goes out of bounds by 5-6 inches. So I like to hit with speed, but, you got to teach big people, whether they're big and strong or tall.
Yeah.
There's different. There's a difference, The orientation is different, their levers, everything's different. So
that's true. Yeah.
It's I don't believe there's a best for everyone. But I think there's certain characteristics it should have. You got to be consistent. You got to be able to repeat it. You got to be able to do it in different conditions under pressure. You got to be able to do it for a long time. If you wear out, if it wears you out, or if it injures you. Tiger Woods, he had that technique where he was doing something with his knee, and then it caused him to have those surgeries, right? Like he was getting more distance, but the way he was torquing his knee caused him to get injured. Now you're already winning and you're hitting the ball pretty far. So how much more do you need? Like what you were talking about before. There's a diminishing return at some point.
Yeah.
You're like, that thing is, you are getting more. So yes, you're correct. But is that more helping you to win more?
Yeah.
So no.
Because at the end, perfection doesn't exist. We live in an imperfect world.
I think that's the problem with the perfectionist mind is it's never satisfies and it's obsessive. But that's not a bad thing. It's bad when it controls you.
Yeah, because I think it's a very, very valuable thing to be able to plan super far ahead and be very like understand but you have to use it as a tool and not like everything like.
Yeah, I said something that I didn't think about it before, and I don't know if this is exactly what I said verbatim, but it's it was exactly that about a tool. It's like, is it the tool or are you the tool? Is it using you or are you using it?
That's a good one. Yeah.
And the ego will do that to you, right? And so if you must do it this way and you have no management over it, then you're the tool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that's a mindfuck.
It is. Yeah. But you want to be managing your own tools, not the other way around.
Yeah. So I have already asked you some selfish questions. Maybe no. I realized I need to throw in some purely selfish questions into this one about my own playing career.
Yeah, cool.
But I also asked my followers today. I was like, hey, I met this guy randomly on the beach. I'm going to have a podcast with him. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? And there was one question by Simon that was very similar to the one I wanted to ask anyway. Okay. So my question was, do you have any ideas for improving blocking awareness? And his question was, actually, this is what he wrote. Great one. Always searched more of him before, so there's someone else that found you on YouTube and we're looking for more. Would like more questions about vision and how to best train that. So I think vision and blocking aware, I feel a little bit stupid when I block. Like I know that I'm not aware of things as much as I should.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on either that or vision or?
Well, we're not doing a visual thing. I'd show you something
that's true. Okay.
that I would do, and it helps people with their stuff. But the thing that comes up is let me drink of water. Here's my water.
Yeah.
Right here. I brought it over. I haven't opened it yet. But positioning and timing. So I've got this system, and so part of the system is this. For example, big line. Big line I position in a way where the hitter has no opportunity to hit the ball down the line. So I shake my hand, turn back into the court. I overcompensate on the outside of the body, and I'm soft in the middle. Not because I want to be, but because in order to overcompensate on the line so I don't get wiped, or I minimize their opportunity to hit down the line.
This is all as a blocker, yeah.
So it's overcompensating. Then I have the normal line, where you split. So you would split,
split the hitter in the middle.
In the middle.
Or no, you split yourself in the middle by the hitter's hand. Is that
right?
How? Yeah.
So my middle of my body is on their shoulder and hand, right? So, yeah. So, but doing this, I've got one hand in the line and one hand in the middle. Mm-hmm. So this is not a big line block. The outside hand can still be wiped. Mm-hmm. When you go big line, the outside hand, there's a position that you get into. The outside hand cannot be wiped. The position of the hand, the position of the body. And then when I cross block, I take my shoulder and match it to their outside shoulder. So none of our bodies are
aligned.
My outside shoulder and their outside shoulder are aligned.
Yeah, okay.
You see some people move away where there's a gap between them and the hitter. It's an effective hit, but I like to start with the shoulders just outside of each other, aligned, just outside. because I like to keep the outside hand on the ball.
Yeah.
And then the inside hand seals the cross.
Mm-hmm.
So literally one's high, one's low, because what people, it's really interesting when you see people go to block, it's like this bowing motion, right? They start high and then they just push straight down like they're bowing. When really the cross-court block is taking that shoulder and penetrating across the net. And the ball is going to start high where they're contacting it, but as it starts to move diagonally, it gets lower and lower. It's only crossing the net by inches.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be reaching up with that inside hand, because that's not where that hand's going to meet the ball. And oftentimes you see people get hit under because they're acting like the block is one unit. I look at the block like one hand is the outside blocker, the other one's the middle blocker. So they're one system, but they're independent of each other. So one is, if this hand was doing the job of the outside blocker, it would be reaching up, meeting the ball there to seal the line. The middle blocker would be taking the cross court. And if you really extreme, the third blocker who joins the they're really down the net. So what that looks like is starting there, step down and over to be the third blocker. Am I being the third? Is this a 3-person block or a 2-person block? If it's a 2-person block, it could start looking like a line block, but the hand movement is always going to reach in with the outside hand trailing the ball so they can't turn it back. But the inside hand, that shoulder's pushing in, and the further I can get my hand across the net, the more angles I cut off, the bigger my block.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about vision yet.
No.
What I like to do before we get to any vision or any of that sort of stuff is positioning and timing, because you trap the ball. When you get the right position around the ball and the shoulder, remember the closing the eyes? I don't suggest you close your eyes on blocking. You'll ruin your fingers. You'll ruin your fingers.
Some bent fingers here.
But, and the second time I did do that on a block, which is funny. The first time was on an open hand dig. The second time was a block. But
that one is seriously fucked up.
That's many years ago, man.
90 degrees.
Yeah. But yeah, so getting in the right position on the ball gives you such an advantage, because the ball has to cross. It has to cross you, and when you put your arms and hands in the right position, the ball's trapped. There's some escapes, but the ball's pretty trapped. And then it goes back to like Bruce Lee has a it's funny, he keeps coming up tonight. I don't think about this often, but I did read one of his books, and some of the things he talked about, and I like to watch him sometimes. And when you look at something directly, all you can see is your focal vision. All you can see is what's in that little circle of vision, and you miss everything else. So what this looks like when you're standing toe-to-toe to someone, you're looking at them, you might see their face, you might see their shoulders, hands up, whatever, then they kick you. And you never see it coming, because all your concentration is on this focal point. Then you have your peripheral vision. And then you have your extended vision. And extended vision, you don't even see it. It might be behind you. You're seeing something in your mind and you feel it. But when you feel it, you get an image of it. And so, for example, if I asked you to point toward the door without looking, could you just point toward the door? Yep. And when
I think that's about it.
Yep. And point to where you think the bathroom is.
Probably over there.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, because as you do that, you're creating these images in your head, and you've got these subconscious, you've already seen this stuff, whether you recognize it or not. It's in your subconscious, and you just access it. And it's really accurate. It's really accurate. And I think it's kind of what we do when we're in the zone and you're not really aware of what's going on, and you're accessing some of this stuff. So with Bruce Lee, it's like, if you want to see the whole person, you have to look over them. You have to look over their shoulder, and you're really kind of using your peripheral vision and extended vision. And then what you're actually seeing is, you're not seeing the body part, you're seeing the movement. So as they go to move their leg, you see it. because you're not actually focused on one point.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking in the whole energy field, right? So that's the way I kind of think. That's the way I kind of like it, because are you really seeing the ball? Like, are you really seeing the ball? Like staring at it, going, oh, I don't think it works that way.
No, and not really watching the hitter either.
But you
100%.
keep the movement up though.
Yeah.
And when you're there and you're using your peripheral and your extended vision, they go to turn, and you'll notice it, and you'll just reach with no conscious thought.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing I'm always looking for, is how to reduce the gap between taking information, seeing information, processing it, and acting on it. If you can act on what you're seeing in real time, no gap, that's what happens when you're in flow. So what's happening is you're in sync, you're in time with it. So as it's moving, you're moving. As it changes, you change. You're not really processing anything. You're just in sync.
Yeah.
That's flow. So
that's that thing that some people call spiritual, almost. Like it's because it's hyper fast.
It's hyper fast because there's no gap. You're not using your conscious mind to process anything. And that's where I'm always trying to get to, is just get to the zone, get to that space. It's like halfway between alpha and theta. Like that kind of place where
brainwave states.
Yeah. Where you just like, you're there but you're not there. And yeah, that's where I think you get your like heightened awareness and performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The conscious mind just comes out. It's the subconscious with the body.
Yep.
And the conscious mind is just kind of observing. It's like, oh wow, look at that. That's so cool. It's like watching yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. This. So there's this volleyball coaches group on Facebook that I'm a part of, and there's this one guy there, Michael. Okay, I think we both. So there's a lot of research that says that human reaction time is 0.2 seconds. Okay. I haven't done this yet. I really want to do it, but I'm going to do it with a high-speed camera and get into this state where I feel like I have this hyper reaction, this spiritual whatever way to react, and I want to see if it's less, if it's 0.2 seconds or if it's actually less. Because if it's less, then basically all of sports research is based on the shortest human reaction time that we have with the conscious mind. But in reality, we can access this other state, which maybe hasn't been done in the lab. So okay, and there's a lot of sports research that is just, in baseball, they're like, okay, so if it takes 0.2 seconds, this means that people have to be picking up cues at this point in the throw and whatnot. But so they're like looking more into like how to read the player better and better and better and better, which I think there's also value in that. But maybe it's about accessing the state where you just react faster. So I usually explain it to players as, when you're in the kitchen, there's a glass on the countertop, you turn around and you elbow it towards the floor, your hand is gonna go and grab it before it hits the floor, and it doesn't feel like it was you. You have no idea who was the actual person that caught that glass. It's something else. It's something within you apparently, but it doesn't. You never take the decision to do that, and it's accessing that state. But now I get super curious to do this video because I again got reminded of it.
I'd love to see the results of that.
Yeah.
What's up, Alex here with the third and last cut-in. So we're talking about this reaction speed and time kind of thing, and I said that I was curious to run this experiment because I was thinking that I would get interesting results from it. And so I hadn't run this experiment at the time we recorded this episode, and then I did run it, and I got the results, which I'll tell you about in a second. And then actually now I'm releasing this episode, And in the future, I'm going to make a video about the results of my experiment, but I'll just tell you about the results now. So what actually ended up happening is that my reaction speed when I'm in this sort of mode where I feel like my reaction speed is hyper quick was 0.13 seconds, which means that it's quicker than what a lot of these researchers are assuming that the human reaction speed is. So I think there is some meat to my theory. I just wanted to add that because I think it's interesting. So in the description again for this episode, I will add the link to the video about this whole reaction speed experiment once that video is up. So if you go and check it out now, it might or might not be there. But yeah, basically my results were that, okay, it was 0.13 seconds when I felt really quick. When I felt slower and I felt like I had to think about reacting, my reaction speed was roughly 0.25 seconds. And I have read, these researchers have said that the reaction speed is somewhere between 0.2 and 0.25, depending on sort of who you listen to. So I don't know. I think it makes some sense, the theory that this reaction speed is with thinking, and without thinking it's quicker. But who knows? I'm not a researcher, at least not yet. Maybe one day. All right, let's get continued with the episode.
I'd love to see the results of that.
Yeah.
There's a movie they made it. So I went to Calgary as part of this coaching program. It's like a pure elite coaching program, and they did. We flew a helicopter with our brainwaves.
Okay.
You had to be a certain megahertz between alpha theta, or the thing wouldn't move. But once you got it, and it would fly as high as you could manage, right? And it's funny because once you become conscious of it, then it some other.
Okay, so this helicopter was flying if you get into this mind state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. And the more you got into this brainwave, the higher the helicopter would go, right?
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
Depending. But so all this research was based off of the same thing. There's a movie of this guy who, the free climbers, where they climb cliff faces and stuff, right? So I forget the name of the movie, but they did this research with these group of athletes, right? The cliff face. What they discovered was there has to be some risk to get into the zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People think that you're just gonna relax into it and all that kind of stuff. That's not it. There was I don't know if they call it stress or whatever. I don't think they call it stress. There's something, I interpret it as risk. There's something, like there's a little nerves or whatever. There's something at risk. It's not just like zoning out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people when their performance isn't great or whatever, and they just try to relax, but they try to be like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're not activated enough.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level of activation that this research revealed. There's a certain level of activation that you needed to be able to enter the state. And so it was really interesting because when I flew this helicopter, I was a little bit nervous, like, am I going to be able to get this thing off the ground? What's up? And that apparently I needed to have that. Because if I had gone into it like, oh yeah, this is going to be easy, cool. And it was interesting because we were all elite coaches doing this. And, you know, some were cocky and everything. And it was interesting to see who could do it and who couldn't do it right away. And then the debrief. What was going on with them. And yeah, the people who thought it was going to be easy, they couldn't fly the helicopter.
Interesting.
It was interesting. Because I never knew that before. I never knew that there had to be this tension.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interpreting it as, I don't know if this is the way to describe it, but I'm interpreting it as something had to be at risk. And so what they found, so bungee jumping, free climbing, all that sort of stuff, automatically they have to go into zone.
Yeah.
They can't be thinking, like they're in the zone. The danger, the risk that's there, automatically drops them into the zone. When you think about free climbing and stuff, climbing a cliff face, you get tired. There's no, oh, I'm just gonna quit. If you want to quit, you got to come back down. Like, it's like you don't have any safety equipment. I mean,
no.
How do you stay that focused, that intense, all that problem solving? If you went into your conscious mind, you'd fall off the cliff face.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is the same researcher. There's someone called Stephen Kotler has written a book, Stealing Fire and Rise of Superman, I think.
I've heard of books in his name, but I haven't read those books. But
I haven't either. I've only read the fucking intro, and I need to read them like ASAP. I should have read them ASAP years ago. Yeah. But yeah, I think I read the intro, and he also said, like, because certain extreme sports, there's life or health at risk if you fuck up.
Life or health. Okay.
That sends you into that state, and I can, every now and then I have advantages of having been a snowboarder and a skateboarder. There is a when you're working on a trick in snowboarding or skateboarding that is dangerous, but you think you can get it, and you're scared, and you do repetition after repetition after repetition. And going to closer and closer to committing. Often there's a commitment part into the trick, so you can sort of bail out mid-air and just fall on your feet and you're fine, but you're not going to get the trick done. So there's one repetition where you just have to decide that, okay, now I'm going to go for it. And if you're too clumsy, whatever, that's when you actually fuck up yourself. But when you go over that edge successfully, like it's one of the most addictive and like it's such a great feeling, and that's what keeps skateboarding and snowboarding. I believe to a big extent. Like there would be days where we would like build a spot for a full day, go and like the day after get camera equipment, so many things to organize, lamps, electrical, whatever, everything. And make sure the police doesn't get there. Then you have to work for hours to get this trick down, and there's so much risk that you're gonna fuck up like all of that work you put in, and you're not gonna get the shot, or you're gonna fuck up your body. Wow. But like you actually, in the end, get that, like that feeling is just absolutely. I get high right now from talking about it.
Yeah. Wow,
but there is traditional sports. Beach volleyball is not that high risk in that sense. I sometimes people, because I believe in training technique, and some people I believe in drills. I believe that you can break things down and then you can reassemble into the game. And that's a long discussion we're not going to go into. But it's very possible. I think it can be very efficient. And we do that a lot in skateboarding and snowboarding. We break down the skills. And it's because if you don't, you're gonna fuck up yourself. Because if you go for the full trick straight away, there's physical injury. In beach volleyball, every time you double contact the ball, it's not like someone's gonna come and punch you. You're gonna lose a point, but they're not gonna come and punch you. So it's not a physical threat. But so that's basically the difference between an extreme sport and a normal one, is that when you mishandle the ball, when you hit out of bounds, whatever, rather than losing a point, you're losing actual physical fitness, and you might get a concussion, you might get something.
It'd be interesting if you double the ball and somebody came up with like a little bat with a foam thing.
That's when you get into this, like, oh, look at this coach, idiot, fucking highlight on the internet type of thing. There's some videos of these Russian coaches that like hit balls super hard at their athletes, like ball after ball after ball. And nowadays things are world is more politically correct, so a lot of people are just having like crazy reactions to this, and which I don't know.
Interesting, though. Like a cattle prod. What the? Stop doubling the ball. It'd be extreme.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, so just for the record, for the whole drilling and breaking down skills or not discussion, since you don't get punished physically, there might be certain aspects where it is more efficient to learn the skill by not breaking it down, but actually trying to learn it in the game system straight away.
Yeah.
So just wanted to add that to whoever's going to try to listen to this podcast and say I'm an idiot.
Yeah. No, but that's, you know what? I used to break down, I have a system, it's base building, which is breaking down everything. It's beliefs, value systems, self-image, all that sort of stuff. High repetition, once you break it down and you build it, then you get the brain out, repeat. Game situation, you take that skill, you link it with other skills, and you put it in the situation you need it, but very controlled. So you repeat the situation over. And then match play. Stop learning. Now it's about using it.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to manage yourself, manage it, and play matches? And, it's all about not using things you can't use and maximizing the things you can, and figuring that out. And you'll see people trying to learn during the match, like it's practice, and it's like, this is not practice. If you use it to the best of your ability, you celebrate, and you move on. That's it. If you can't use it, stop using it. Use something else. And if they're making you use it, well, then you better use it to the best of your ability and make it up another, whatever's going on. This is winning time, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. And then what I realized is, especially the higher the skill level, you don't have to go all the way back to base building. Base building is a very specific thing in the off season. Mm-hmm. When I'm trying to get people to face things that they never face, because I don't know if I said it before, but people like to improve in the areas they're already good at, or what they're familiar with, or where they grow easily. They really seem to hate going, changing or facing things that they're not good at, don't comprehend. Because it's like, they take it personally, like, oh, it's not the performance, it's me. Mm-hmm. Performance isn't bad, I'm bad. Mm-hmm. I can't do this, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, no, you'll learn it, or you'll learn some version of it. Maybe you won't be the best at that, but you can be, good at it. Mm-hmm. So, and that's where I think people lose year after year, because, since 1990, I'm on tour, I'm off tour. I'm on tour, I'm off tour. It fascinates me when I have a break from being on tour, a couple years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. And I come back on tour, and the same people are playing, and you can beat them the same way. Uh-huh. They've gotten better. They're more experienced, they're winning, they're better ranking, but they never worked on those things
on the weaknesses.
And the real weaknesses, because we're weak in some areas that you can survive. Mm-hmm. But there's other areas where the
critical weaknesses.
It's critical weaknesses. You put them in that environment, they will never be able to play out of it. Mm-hmm. And they never work on it. And then they leave the match thinking they had a bad match, because the next match, the next team doesn't put them in that situation, and they see the new performance, which is better. Mm-hmm. Oh, I had a bad game. Mm-hmm. You always have a bad game against me.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonder why that is. I'm not going to tell you about it, but
So the way to win in beach volleyball is to become a master at seeing people's critical weaknesses.
That's the beginning of strategy, psychology.
Oh.
You always have to, before you can select the play, you have to see the person. I have a system called the BECS, B-E-C-S. You build an environment where they cooperate with your strategy. We're a net sport, so I can't physically control you. Mm-hmm. If I can tackle you, or if I can bump you or whatever, then I can control you. But in our sport, if I interfere with you, then I'm the one who loses the point.
Yeah.
So I have to influence you because I can't control you. And so the way to influence someone who has 3 contacts, tennis, table tennis, you 1 contact. So I can influence you, but if I have 3 contacts to position the ball and prepare and everything else, and then enter it into your court, there's a real opportunity to influence what you do. where you move, how you know. With one contact, you might be able to control me. So you're hitting a shot where I have to give you a return in an area that you like. To whereas with 3 contacts, even if that first ball puts me under pressure, I've got a second ball to reposition it and a third ball to attack you. Volleyball is a really unique sort of situation, and as a rebound sport. So, yeah, it's you have to building an environment where they cooperate. I'm building a certain environment, physical, psychological environment where if I know your nature, I can predict how you're going to your stress response here. So I create this environment, and oh, there you go. Now you're acting like you're afraid, or you're turning on your partner, or you're avoiding, whatever. And it's simple, block a big hitter twice in a row. What do they do?
Shoot. Or
yeah. So imagine, let's go through there. So I'm a big hitter, I'm an ego hitter, and I go up and I'm gonna smash the ball across court, and you do a block, boom, you block me. What does the big ego hitter say? Do they go, "Oh my God, I'm so afraid now"?
No, they're gonna go again.
Yeah, you're lucky. I made a bad hit. Whatever. They're in a little bit of denial. Then you go up, bang, line, or cross again. They go, "I'm just gonna challenge you." Boom, you blocked him again. Now what do?
Go again, maybe.
Oh, really arrogant. They have to be super arrogant just to keep challenging you, or they're in fear and they're just like, don't have another response. But they'll, oh, okay, wait a minute, that's not a fluke. Okay, line shot, just need a little variation. It's a very simple strategy. Or they question, oh, Z, you have my number here? Something, there's a little bit of doubt. You run down the line shot. Now it's like, I don't have my hit, I don't have my line shot. Now their ego's in jeopardy. The ego's in jeopardy. You do that a couple of times, and they're on the tipping. Right? They're looking at you, they're looking too long, trying to shoot, hitting out. There's all sorts of stuff that would never have happened.
Yeah.
Would never have happened if you hadn't grouped those 2 things together. Now you dig them. They still get to be strong. Nobody stops them at the net. They still might go through this you can get me thing, but it's not like when you block someone, you're like, it's like a fight.
Yeah.
As close as it gets in volleyball.
Yeah,
Like you're toe to toe, you're at the net, they're trying to hit you, and you just shut them down. You shut somebody down a few times to where they can't dismiss it, then you see the questions come up, right? If someone doesn't have power and they shoot and you run them down, and someone's really good at shooting, you'll see the questions come up because they think they're strategic.
Yeah.
They think they're technical, but that doesn't, now I need to be strong because me being strategic isn't helping. You're outsmarting me. You're outplaying me. And now they have to try to swing. And when they swing, what happens? They hit it out, they get blocked. I'm not strong, I'm strategic, but you took it away from me. So you just build this environment where you can predict, and there's 6 side changes. So you have 2 or 3 side changes to develop this environment. And then they start to cooperate or not. Maybe you can't get the environment that causes them to be a certain way. You might have to try another environment, whether serving them short to bring them closer to the blocker, or serving down the middle deep to break the partnership and get a lateral pass, and they have to watch it over their shoulder, and now they don't feel strong and powerful. It's some environment you can create where if they haven't prepared for it, they could be very predictable.
They can lose their dopamine in the brain and start checking the services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so Bex, build an environment where they cooperate with your strategy. And it all starts with psychology. There's like 7 pieces to it, but it starts with psychology.
Interesting.
Yeah. And people, they start their strategy, they don't start with psychology. A lot of times they start what they like to do, what I can do, what I like to do, or they go, oh, they don't like this. Well, how do you know they don't like that?
That's true, yeah.
They don't like that against that team on that day in those conditions. Can you replicate that? Oh, what'd you do against them? Oh, we just served the right sider on the outside and blocked them cross. Okay, let me try that. Well, yeah, but your blocker's 7 foot and mine's, 6'2". Maybe I need to bring them more toward the middle or, whatever it is.
Starting with the psychology, that's definitely a new one for me today. I need to spend some thinking time on that.
So what I do is I profile people. I'll spend years collecting a little book and just
Players?
yeah, but it's very simple because all I'm looking for are the consistent common things. So there's a million things people can do, but there's maybe 3 or 4 things they do all the time, every year. It's just like human behavior in our lives. There's just certain things you get to know the person and you go, oh yeah, they're gonna do this.
Yeah.
They're gonna be that. They're gonna say this. It's the same as players. Maybe they learn to choose differently, but under pressure, what do they revert back to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So you have a secret book somewhere.
I used to have a secret physical book. It had many pages and everything. And I don't have a physical book anymore because I'm not actively coaching. But I used to have just a little black book. Well, it's little black. It was a folder, and I have my game plans, and I just make little notes. And people used to hate this. I think I used to bug them with it. I would just go to the tournaments, and I would just sit and watch games. People would see me watching them, like, watching me, man. taking notes. Yeah. And I was always just kind of in the background watching. It's like, and I see people looking at me like, man, the shadow, get out of here. And then we played them, and I got like 7 or 8 pages.
Yeah.
Like, so that's 7 different times I've seen them in different conditions. And I just cross-reference. What's the thing that always shows up? Oh, these 3 things. Well, guess what we're going to do? All these other things can be effective too, but these things we can trust because windy, no wind, whatever.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah. You isolate this partner where they don't get to touch the ball, this person will turn on them. Okay. We're going to isolate this partner. This partner's playing pretty well. This person isn't agitated yet. Oh, now we got this partner in a little trouble. Well, guess what just happened? Now they're a little agitated. We hold them in that moment. Ooh, then we slip one down the line. Oh, you caught me off guard. What? Oh, then we come back here. Give me the ball again. Give me the ball again. You're not getting the ball anymore.
Yeah.
It was your one chance.
Yeah.
Now you have to watch this person lose on your behalf. And then you see them freak out. And by the second set, they're nowhere in the match anymore. They just want to get off the court. They don't want to have this person hold their destiny, and you got to watch. Everybody's got to watch them sit out here and be helpless and stuff. But ego can't take it. They'll start sabotaging the team.
Yeah.
Just to get off the court. First set, if they won their first set, they're a different animal. But you beat them that first set, and they had to watch that and feel that way. Watch them in the timeout or the side change or the after between each game. Look at how they interact. Look at the other partner. Like, I don't look at you. Stop talking to me. Screaming, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them like, I gotta trust you and you suck. And then they come back on the ground and you see them kind of look at them to start the game. Like, you gonna be okay this time? And what do? You serve it right down the middle toward the other partner. Oh, right again. Nope, you're never gonna touch the ball. Now I feel helpless. I gotta go through this again? No, out of here. Out of here. Quick.
Well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
21-14, get out of here.
How's your brain doing? You've been doing a lot of talking here for several hours now.
I see.
I want to respect your because I know I get like talk fatigue after a few while, and now I've been listening a lot, so I don't have it yet myself. But
I'm good. It's been a long day, and I just think we just need to do more. We can do some more, but it doesn't have to be the only time. Yeah, we can do some stuff. I don't know if you do it over, over the internet or whatever, but even after we leave, man. So
definitely. I mean, this is fucking amazing for me, listeners. If it's amazing for you, then we're all just fucking winning.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, it's. I mean, there are things that I have that are my trade secret sort of things, and what we're talking about. I mean, you know, there's some trade secret stuff in there, but there's some special sauce
Yeah.
stuff that you can't, you know, proprietary stuff you can't put out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and here's the really interesting thing about it, and this is what I find. There's something. Okay, you have this thing it's like a power tool. You take an untrained person and you give them a power tool, it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
Give them somebody a saw, you know, certainly I don't know how to use a saw. They can cut some fingers off, right? So some of these things are kind of like saws, right? You learn how to use them, you respect them, all that sort of stuff. You start slow, you'll see benefit right away, you'll get experience, and you'll figure out how to use it. But sometimes you see people just, they don't understand it. It's like a little bit of knowledge is dangerous, right? Just enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So some of it's a little bit like that because it's simple, but it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wrist snap thing. It's not easy to keep your form, but be relaxed. So you get more speed.
Yeah.
And then to contract on contact and then relax again.
Yeah, it's a special fucking combo of movements and contractions and relaxation.
Yeah. And it's just really
I'm the same. I have the YouTube channel with free videos, but I also coach and I also want to make some money. But I found the perfect balance is, I mean, a YouTube video is low investment. You just click it and watch it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, who knows what it is, and you learn something. But there's certain things that I don't talk about in the free videos because I know that it's like prerequisite. Like you're not going to get the value of this. You're just going to fuck yourself up if you get this piece of information without the couple hours of information that you have to have before so that you can put it in use in the right ways and learn it and so that you understand what I mean when I say this and this and that. So it just makes perfect sense. And if let's say I make this 4-hour course with you know all the information, if I put that on YouTube, no one's gonna watch it because it's too long. So it's the perfect balance between free content and paid content because it's well, the paid content is more in depth, but it also takes a more committed viewer that has to be. So then it's not a problem. It's a win-win. And that's kind of the power tool analogy. I think at least what comes up in my mind.
I just mentioned it because I don't want to do anybody a disservice thinking, oh, okay, now I can go out and start using this. Some things are just dead simple. You got to start using. Some things, like you say, you need a foundation. There's more to it than just that. None of this is rocket science. Psychology. Just take a look at who they are before you start talking strategy. Just observe. And it's only one or two things that. So most of the game is side out, and then you just need one or two advantages to score points. And once you start scoring points, the way I define momentum is grouping points. So, I score one, you score one. I score one, you score one. There's no momentum. I score one, you score one. I score one, you score one. I score one, you score one. It feels like momentum, but to me, 2 in a row, a side out and a point, is really potential. The real psychology, the emotions, everything comes into it when side out, I score one, I score another one. 3 points in a row, physically, the gap between the points, it's a side out doesn't get you back on track anymore. You have to earn a point to get back on. So physically with the points, but psychologically,
it does something to people.
It puts you in that vulnerable space where it's like, whoa, it's not a fluke. We got to stop them here. If you get a 4th point, man, that's a big gap to make up in the game. Not impossible, but it just psychologically feels like now you're chasing. So that to me is momentum. And it comes with all this stuff. It's not just the points. It's the psychology, what happens to the relationship, what happens to the person themselves, What stress do they start to feel? How do you react when you get, like with the dopamine and the adrenaline and everything? Okay, you side out. People get excited, but it's not the most exciting thing in the world, you know. Then you score a block or a dig, that's pretty exciting. Then you get another point. That's pretty freaking exciting. You get another point, you're like, we got you here a little bit, you know. We just got 4 points on you, you know. You're chasing us now.
Yeah.
You know, 4 points, that's, you know, that's 16-12, you know, that's you know, 19-15. Like when you put the 4 points in the score line, it looks significant.
That's true.
It looks significant. You're like, whoa, 2 points, you know, 18-16, 19-17.
Yeah.
You know, 19-16, 3 points. That doesn't feel good. 19-15, that feels like, wow, a couple of side outs here. I beat you, buddy. It's like, it gets on you. So it's
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of psychology in that.
Yeah.
It's almost like a dropping edge. Like the further you get, the further, or like a curved edge. Like the further out from the middle you get, the deeper you end up.
Yeah.
In a sense. So yesterday, when I presented this podcast to you, I said that I'm a guy that's very interested in volleyball, also personal development, business, whatever, and the combination of these, how we can use this. And I like bridging between them, which we have done a lot in here. But I also, you sent me some links to watch, and you have some, you're definitely not only beach volleyball coaching. Do you want to go into that more? What do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's two things.
I said this is going to be mutually beneficial. So me and my listeners have drawn a lot of volleyball knowledge from you. So.
Okay. Well, so my the meeting that was missed by both of us, which was very fortunate, was for an organization, Small Business is Essential. Right now, it's a North American initiative. It's in Canada, but it's a nonprofit. I'm the incoming president. There's a founder president who's going out, and I'm taking over the presidency of this nonprofit. And it's to help responsibly reopen the economy. Reopen, keep open. And
from this Corona crisis.
From Corona crisis, but it's for whatever threats that are in the future.
Okay.
So what we realized, what Corona has done, and especially in North America, I think it's done it around the world, it really exposed how unprepared we are for any sort of real major crisis. We don't have any systems, we don't have any continuity programs in place to really keep us operating, but safely. And so in Canada, a lot of places around the world, but I'm speaking of Canada because that's the environment I'm in, they talk a lot about response and recovery. Every plan you see is either a recovery plan or a response plan. And we haven't started the conversation of prevention and protection. I just started to hear a little bit on CNN. Chris Como had a guy on who did the movie Contagion. He was the scientist who was the advisor for the movie Contagion.
Okay.
Contagion, I think it's Contagion.
That sounds like a pandemic movie.
It's a pandemic movie. It was made, I think, 2018.
Okay.
And it's pretty much what we're living now. So the point Chris Como was making was, back in 2018, you knew that this was going to happen. And he's like, we had this information, but we've done nothing to prepare for it. Now, here's the problem with recovery, with response and recovery. We have this pandemic. Nobody knows what's going on. We need a response. The response is lockdown. Let's figure it out. Get people out of the streets. Stop giving it to each other. Okay. And we figured it out a little bit. And now we can start to recover. We can start to reopen. Kids can go back to school. We're in recovery. No behavior has changed. None of our systems have really changed. The numbers have gone down. So numbers are spiking, now they're going down. And so as part of recovery, we reopen. And then what happens? Because no behaviors changed, we don't have any new systems, any prevention in place, the numbers go back up. And what do? We respond.
Yeah.
What's the response? Lockdown.
Yeah.
It's like a yo-yo diet.
Yeah.
With everybody locked away, what happens? The numbers go down. What behaviors changed? Mindset, systems, anything. Nothing's changed. We start to recover. Oh, the numbers are down. We can start to open up again. And then, so the system itself becomes this perpetual cycle of lockdown, reopen, lockdown, reopen. The part that's missing is prevention and protection. So this was totally appropriate when we first, when this thing first happened. Lockdown, totally appropriate. Totally appropriate. And lockdown is a real strategy that we should have in a crisis. So if this thing was so contagious and it's airborne, where you couldn't come out of your house, that's a crisis. We need to be in lockdown. And the only businesses that need to be operating are essential and non-essential businesses. Non-essential, they don't need to be operating. But there are businesses that can operate safely now that can't open. And now the economy is affected. So instead of it being essential and non-essential, in an emergency, which is what we have, something that we can control is an emergency. There's a problem, we just know how to control it. That's an emergency. A crisis, we don't know what to do, or we can't control this thing. Lock it down. But in an emergency, we can have safe operation. If someone's operating unsafely, they need to close, because they're the ones who are going to keep perpetuating this thing. But if people can operate safely, they should be open for lots of reasons. The fact that the economy stays open, they make money, but more importantly, people's mental health, well-being, depression, all that sort of stuff. There's so many reasons. And then we're actually modeling for other people. So I think that this sort of ownership comes through business owners. They're our local heroes, they're the influencers. If they're operating safely and keeping people safe, people take that behavior into their personal lives. Not a guarantee, but there are influencers there. Those people have conversations. Those people influence in the community. It's not going to come from government. Government's not in any community that, they don't have the affinity where people are like, oh, because government said do this, I'm going to do it. In North America, the words compliance and mandate are dirty words. It's like, oh, you're trying to force me to do something? You're not going to take my right away from me. But ownership, we have to have community ownership. We have to have a collective economy. So our part is we have to operate safely, not because the government told us to, but because we want this thing to end. Now, this is a pandemic. It could be anything. War, economic crisis. We're exposed. We need a system, a continuity system, where we can operate safely regardless of what the crisis is. Because we don't know what the next threat is. If there's a threat coming, we still know what it is. And for example, in Germany, they have a system that came about with the financial crisis 2008, where the businesses cut the hours of their employees. So they might put them on half time. So they pay them for the time that they work. And the government provides a subsidy for them not working. So now you get people pretty much making close to their full income, but only working half the time. So the business is under less pressure because they're paying half of what they have to normally pay that employee. They're still employed. They're still operating and making income. And the government is subsidizing instead of just giving money like we are right now, we're just giving money. They're giving money to people who are employed. Right now in the US, people won't take jobs. They're making more on unemployment than they are being employed. But in this way, you're only getting your subsidy when you're employed. So I just thought that was a really intelligent sort of system that, helped protect them and keep businesses open. I'm worried about who's going to pay taxes. Government's spending all this money. Why are they going to recoup their money? People aren't working. Where's tax dollars coming? There's a lot of, there's direct and there's indirect impact. There's a lot of indirect impact here that we're not even paying attention to.
Absolutely.
3 to 5 years down the road, it's going to smack us right in the face. So that's what this whole small business is essential. It's small, but it's really small all. So it's capital S, small m, capital A, capital L, capital L. Small all business is essential. And I think that big businesses are like the backbone of the economy, but small businesses are the backbone of the community. And so they have to work together to support each other. We're not competing with each other. We want the economy to be strong. We want the communities to be strong. So that's the whole thing. It's a nonprofit. We just did a press conference. That's what I sent you, our press conferences before I came here, announcing me as the new incoming president. But also we've launched our website and we have all of our intellectual property and we're giving it away for free. So we put our money where our mouth is. This all started out as part of a for-profit company. This was Social Distance Management, was the name of the company. And Ed Henry, the Ed Henry Company, this is all their intellectual property. And they're donating all this intellectual property to Small Businesses Essential. And we're taking these resources and giving them to people because we gotta do something. So this is one of my passions. This is empowering people. I've used volleyball. I've had a record label, a nightclub, a restaurant, my own coaching businesses, an entertainment company. So I've always been entrepreneurial and had businesses. Helped start 3 nonprofit organizations. This will be the 4th that I'm really involved with. Just taking all those skills and transferring them to make an impact. And that's what what I believe is we all have some special gift. Some are big, some are small. Whole and complete. These aren't just theories, right? So all of us are part of the whole. And it takes the sum of all of us to make the planet whole. So people think, and I hear people say this, you tell them what you do. Olympic coach, get to go here and travel. Or you need somebody to go with you. What a wonderful job, all this sort. Or you talk about the Olympics and they're like, what I do is not as big as what you do. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is your life. This is just what I do. What you do is what you do. The people it impacts is the people that it impacts. And I think when we all approach life in this way, being who we are, contributing our gifts, not settling for a life that somebody else says we have to have, or talking ourselves out of living our dreams and being our true selves because, be realistic, get a real job. If you can take your passions and monetize them, and whatever that looks like for you, then you can live that thing instead of thinking it's some hobby or something you have to put on a shelf and you can't do because you have to take care of your family. I think that's what it's about. I think everybody has a gift to contribute. And instead of talking people out of living their dreams, we should be helping them contribute their gifts.
You should be helping them to live their dreams and make a living out of it.
That's it. And then, because then people are thriving. They're doing what they're great at. They're doing what they're here, what their purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's higher purpose. And the money exchange, if they're offering value, that's a law of reciprocation. So I'm offering value, I get remunerated in the exact proportion that, I provide value.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You provide a lot of value, get a lot of remuneration. Nothing wrong with that. So, that's where my passion is. And one of the tools I use is my Champions Map. And it's my Olympic mapping program, but
yeah, we hadn't had time to go.
We're not gonna go into it
because you say you use it both for business and also for the Olympic teams, and
it's just a holistic mapping program, and it has to be holistic or it's not sustainable, and that's really the guts of it. it's goal setting, but for every aspect of your life, underpinned by legacy with higher purpose. So it's success with fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's everything is quantified. Like there's no, when you're doing Olympic sport and you're working with governments, this is government funding.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Canada, for example, I've got 6 stakeholders that I have to answer to. Every year you have a meeting, 3-hour meeting, they go through your whole program, they pull it apart. All year long you have an advisor, they're scrutinizing the program, everything has to be justified, has to be evidence-based. This isn't amateur stuff. This is, Olympics, and this is working with government funds. So everything has to be quantified. And and we work in 4-year blocks. So I've got to have my planning done for 4, 8, 12 years. And you don't even know what's happening. So all the forecasting. So taking all that technology and put it into this that people can just use for their everyday life and living, taking their passions and their purpose and incorporating it into their careers and what they do. And then when it comes to resource allocation, you got to look at all the areas of your life, your health, your family, your own mental well-being, your career, your finances, what you're different, your spiritual. Because if you don't take care of all those, if you don't nurture all those areas, they'll decay.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be having performance, and then the thing that's decaying will derail.
Performance falls.
Yeah. So to me, this is all high performance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's my Olympic program, and it's gotten me to 5 Olympics and some pretty good results,
Yeah.
So it's pretty mad. It's not my process. It's like this divine thing.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, it makes sense. That championship map connects very well with something we talked about before, which was having that higher purpose.
Yeah.
And one thing I was about to say back then in the beginning of this podcast was I recognized that, like, who am I? I'm just a fucking guy that started playing this sport. I sucked. I just had this idea. It would be amazing to have a podcast to meet people and connect. And I found this niche. No one is apparently doing it. Maybe I'll try it out. Yeah. I just started trying, and nowadays it's, sometimes I feel like I'm insignificant, like I'm not good enough for this or whatever, but it's like I gotta keep going because apparently it's working, and I'll get better and better and better, and it's fucking amazing. So like I said yesterday, like I didn't feel like I was, I don't know, maybe good enough to ask you if you wanted to be on the podcast, but I was like, I'm gonna regret it if I don't. Yeah. And I asked, and now we're sitting here.
Well, that's the thing, right? So it's dare to do what you love, and this the perfect imperfection thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfection is you always get yeses, you never mess up, you always know what to do. I don't know who that is. But the perfect is you just who you are, how you are, you dare to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you find a way. And then the whole formula comes together and it works.
Oh.
Whole and complete. And there's a lot of, this is the advantage in competition. We do a lot of whole and complete. Whatever it looks like. Whole and complete, whole and complete. Get the outcome. We link those outcomes together, it turns into this really big thing. But it's not a big thing. It's just a bunch of little things that come together to form a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the little things are you just being yourself, living life that you love, as hard as it gets, as pleasure, whatever it is. And you do it because it's you.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff you can quit on, whatever, but this, like you asked, right?
Yeah.
What you couldn't not ask.
Exactly.
Now, if it was something else that wasn't this significant to you, maybe you wouldn't ask.
Probably, yeah, definitely.
But this, you had no choice.
Exactly.
And that's what a real commitment does. Even when you don't want to, you don't like it, you're like, this thing, but you're so compelled to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You must. It's a must. When you're doing your must, that's your own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a choice. You can try to avoid it, and it keeps coming back at you.
Oh.
How many times I tried to quit volleyball? For 2 years I didn't coach. Here I am again.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, it's crazy. It's a must. And it's not even about the volleyball. It's helping people live their dreams, contribute their gifts to the world. These girls, I'm helping them live their dreams and contribute their gifts. When we talk and we do our mental, I came here like mental, the strategic and mental piece. That's why I'm consulting. I'm not coaching the team. I'm here to help the team. And we're talking higher purpose. We're talking about, I brought my
The Maxwell Leadership Bible.
Yeah.
John C. Maxwell, he's written a lot of books, right?
Yeah, he's a huge leadership. I didn't even know he wrote this book. Actually, a friend of mine turned me on to it. And I haven't read my Bible for a long time. And I studied Buddhism and for a while. And, you know, I looked at the Muslim faith. And, you know, I got the Bhagavad Gita and I got a Quran. I got all this stuff, right? But to me, it's really about source. It's about connectedness. And a friend of mine told me to go get this book. And I didn't want to do it because it's not Audible. I like all my books are Audible now. And but I got the book and I've been reading. It's the Bible, right? And but he's got leadership. I don't know if you, this is the beautiful thing about this book.
This is a real fucking book.
It's a real Bible. This is the Bible, but then he's got all this stuff here. And whether you're religious or whatever, John C. Maxwell is a leadership expert. And it just so happens these girls are very religious.
I wish you guys that are listening to this would be able to see this book.
It's a Bible. It's a real leather brown Bible. But and so I couldn't have planned it any. Well, no, right? I couldn't have planned it any more perfectly. And I was just in my personal life. We moved. We just sold our house. And so our books, we're collecting all our books and which ones we keep and all that sort of stuff. I found all my other books, Bhagavad Gita, all this sort of stuff. I can't find my Bible. It was really weird. And I grew up as a Christian. It was really weird. Because I know I at least have like one or two somewhere. I can't find them. I don't know where they are. So it was only fitting. And the other guy, he doesn't know that I can't find my Bible.
No.
And I've known him for a while. We're part of a men's professional group. And he's like, you need to go get this book, Leadership Bible. And I didn't want to do it. I resisted. But it's really interesting because I read a lot of John Maxwell. I didn't know he did this book.
No, I've never heard about it or seen it.
It's crazy.
And
It's crazy.
I've had a lot of John C. Maxwell books recommended to
Isn't
me.
that crazy?
Yeah.
I never knew it existed. I didn't even know he was religious.
This feels like one of those books that are like, there's like 2 on Amazon for like a few $100 and it's like, you can't get it.
It cost me about $70, I think. And it was
but
really
they still
weird.
produce it?
Yeah, and apparently they sold a lot of them. So, yeah, it was just really weird, man. It's just really weird. So, I got to take things like that. Because for me, I consider myself to be spiritual and not religious. So that's why I look at like a lot of different religions or philosophies or whatever. And but it was interesting because I haven't picked up a Bible for a long time, and I haven't referred to it. But something was calling me, which was really weird. And yoga, yeah. So it was just really weird, and it just so happens. We start every day here, 6 a.m. with devotion. Wow, it's just really strange for me to be. So my mental talks, we use some stuff out of the Bible because it resonates. Yeah, and his leadership stuff is straight up business.
Yeah.
Business and leadership. Yeah, so I try to take all the taps that I get from the universe, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing that's right now is what is it I don't know that I need to know. That's the context I'm trying to live by right now. Because I was controlling and trying to dictate, and everything I was creating was coming from what I already know, some version of what I already know, which kind of sounds a little bit like insanity. But it's more about, like Einstein, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it.
Yeah.
And so, what is it? I just need to stop thinking, stop trying to create something from what I'm already doing, and just, what is it I don't know that I need to know? And now it makes me present. I can't be looking into the past, what I already know. I can't be predicting into the future. I have to be here observing. What is it? And it's opened up the world. Like, it really has opened up the world, because I see things that I didn't see before, and opportunities are coming my way that didn't come before. So there's a whole, whole thing, scientific reticular activating system, and this whole thing that, works with that. But yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird.
Life is a journey.
Life is a journey.
It's
Life is a journey. We'll see how this part goes.
Yeah, and I don't know how spirituality is such a controversial thing. It's some people are gonna be like, they're gonna stop listening, and some people are like, oh, these guys know what they're talking about. My personal I like beach volleyball. I also like life, and I like coaching, sort of both. And my bigger vision is this project is just a part of my life mission, in a sense, and there's going to be like steps beyond it, but it's going to take years before I'm there.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is I like to break down things so that it makes sense to people that at the level they're at. So in beach volleyball, it might be like, okay, understanding where this player is, what they need to hear now, and what's the step after that, and that and that and that.
Yeah.
And with everything that you might or might not call spiritual experiences or practices or whatever, like, I think everyone knows that sometimes life is magic. Like, just amazing things happen. You're very, very happy, whatever it might be. And there's certain things that you can reproduce to make that happen more often. And there's, like, for example, devotion, that means some sort of intention setting in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, so one thing that, like, someone who might be skeptical to that, you can break it down on a neuroscience, you set some momentum towards thinking good things today, and you do that every morning.
Yeah.
Well, when you go to traffic, someone, cuts you off or whatever, you're just a few percentages more, there's just a little bit of a bigger chance that you think that, okay, maybe they were in a rush, maybe something was more important, rather than you getting angry.
Off the road.
Exactly.
Run them off the road.
Exactly. So there's a little bit more of a chance for that to happen, which means that there's a little bit more of a chance that someone will see, like, oh, this guy seems kind of positive, maybe I should go talk with him. And then there's a little bit more of a chance that that person actually has some sort of information and knowledge that you should get. And then there's a little bit more chance that something just magical happens in your life because of all this chain of events. Because I guess like I sort of think that like happiness is sort of a good starter, because it attracts people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people get caught up on spiritual and religion are totally different. I mean, religion has caused so much pain and drama in the world, war, abuse, separation. It's religion's a man-made thing to do whatever it's doing, but mostly control.
Yeah.
and manipulate, right? Which is unfortunate, but when I say spiritual connectedness, universe, source, just whatever purpose, whatever that is, the thing that there's something that animates us, that literally gets you, like, makes you alive. That's spirit to me. And that animating force, I think, is connected. We're all connected in some way. We're not just, I don't believe that we're just all down here independently bumping up against each other. I think it's like everything else, the universe, it's all whole and complete. So, what's that dance that we're doing? And yeah, and I don't. There's good or bad about it. It's just it's a dance, and part of that dance is, well, let's see if we can blow ourselves up, or let's see how cruel I can be with you, and all this sort of stuff. Like, and then at the end of it, it's like, you know what? I can be cruel, but I choose not to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, I can do this. I can be by myself and be in a cave, or I can be here with you, and we can be having a relationship, you know, and exchanging something here, growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, you know, that's spirit at work.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit, we call it energy.
Yeah.
You know, quantum physics.
Whatever it actually is.
Yeah. And I don't deal with every woo. I'm not dealing with that. Everything that, just like the volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
There's some scientific, people think science and spiritual are in opposition or whatever. I just think science explains spirituality.
Yeah.
Or spirit or energy or whatever you want to call it, right?
And I think we're getting closer and closer to the scientists that are gonna start explaining these things.
Yeah.
And like part of it is like the magic in the quick reaction time. Like it's so fun to play volleyball when those quick reactions happen. It doesn't feel like it's you. It's kind of an experience that you can't explain.
Yeah.
And it's super fucking fun. It makes life worth living in a sense.
Yeah. When you talk about like meditation and so we're yoga, I mentioned yoga. You talk about meditation. So I was just chopping vegetables before I came here, and I was meditating. The meditation was the chopping vegetables. It wasn't like I'm chopping vegetables, but my mind's off somewhere else meditating. It's like life is a meditation. You know, when you're present, you're fully present, you're meditating. And I think we have all these stories about it's this thing that you go off and do. But when you're in the zone, you're in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
You are fully present in that moment, connected. It's meditation. So anytime that you're really fully present and you're right there, that's meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how we try to go be quiet to do that. We think we're just going to go be quiet and then we're going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the day, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You're there. You're right in flow, and you're just, you know. And sometimes you can feel it. You can feel that you're, you know, when you're doing something like just chopping vegetables, you're experiencing yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As long as the phone isn't throwing notifications at you all the time.
We are trying to turn ourselves into robots, machines. We are trying to take the human piece out, be mind or whatever we're trying to do. I don't know what we're trying to do, but man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, man. Look at this.
Yeah. So where do oh my God. It's a lot of clock.
You gotta chop that up.
Where do people contact you, or do you want contact info?
I mean, it's good. Yeah. You know what? They can. The thing that I'm really looking at right now is this Small Business is Essential, and like I said, we're looking at it like a North American initiative because other places around the world don't have the same challenges or the same mindset or whatever. So I think this is kind of unique. But if it fits, if the organization can help anyone in their business, keep their business open, be able to take ownership, create community, that's the goal of the organization. It's called Small Business Essential United. Mm-hmm. And the website is SBE for Small Business Essential United.org. Mm-hmm. So I think be great to go look that up. Go look Steve Ando Champions Map up on YouTube, and you'll see the introduction to the Champions Map. It explains what it is.
I can add links into the show description also.
Yeah, and there's my website. It's steveandersongold.com. I did the website myself, so it's not professional, but I got some professionals working on it. But I don't really tell people about it, but I need to, so I'm telling them right now. And they can contact me there, and the Champions Map piece is something that I've mostly done it for organizations and corporates and executives and entrepreneurs. So people who are into high performance. But my goal is to get it into schools so that everybody, like maths and English and everything else, you learn how to map your life and to resource it and make it real, not a fantasy. That's my end game with the Champions Map, because that's my purpose, is to help people live the life they want to live, contribute their gifts. Well, this Champions Map does that. And yeah, like it really does it. Like it's there's no way to explain what it does. But yeah, so yeah, check it out. Check out the website. Check out the map. Small business is essential.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if someone contacts you for volleyball coaching, then you don't have time, or
you know, I don't know, man. It's interesting. It depends on who it is. I mean, here I am.
That's true.
Here, you know.
You put a few hours into this.
Yeah. It's interesting. What I need to do is, and I've been meaning to and trying to, and I've never done it. I was trying to, not hard, but you know, a website. Just finished like a website. I don't know if it's a membership community or what it is, but create some content. Like create real content, do it in a series, do it as courses. I've started this stuff. I've looked at Podia account, and you know, I was like, started looking at the YouTube videos and how to get it, you know, the YouTube and all this stuff, and you know, Teachable, and you know.
Yeah, it's the universe.
Yeah, but now it's about actually doing the work, because this stuff is there. It's like lives here. I've got a book. I wrote this book, Challenge Makes a Champion, 2013, 2014. I didn't release it because there was some issues with me working with Volleyball Canada and promoting this book. But now I'm gonna rewrite it and release it. And the book I want to write on volleyball is actually called The Book on Beach Volleyball. And I want to take this stuff and unpack it and document it so that people can read it, use it, go do it. Yeah, just gotta get around that. I'm working on another book right now called The 6 Dimensions of Success with a writing partner in Australia. So the books and the speaking, I think that's a big piece, but COVID's now. That's where my focus was going. Was, speaking and working on the books and consulting. So I don't know, volleyball, I could do some volleyball. I would like to consult with programs. I want to help lift the sport up. And I really like to get professional leagues going.
Yeah, you said you tried to start one with someone. We didn't ever go into
Australia,
that. And
I looked at it once in Canada, but literally twice in Australia, trying to get a professional league going. We had a venue built, sold the television. Yeah, had a centralized merchandising program, all the stuff. Couldn't get all the players on board, you know, politics. And then in Canada, we had an investor who was looking at it. I didn't take it to the federation because, you know, our values needed to match a little better. They didn't. And at the end of the day, yeah, the investors, the values didn't match. So it was unfortunate. But I think there's a league, man. There's domestic professional product where people can have a career. Coaches can coach, administrators can make a living. There's clubs, there's athletes. People have salaries, like real employment benefits, and then it's a real career path. That's the piece that's missing. Is this professional piece? We have the Olympic piece at the top. There's a piece that should be right underneath it. And when you look at indoors, what do you see? You see professional leagues. People can be professionals. We can't be professionals and make a real living in most places around the world. You can make some money, and you can play, and some people can make a living. But every other professional sport, you got 2 or 3 levels of leagues that can make a living. You know, you got the big league where they're making big money. Then you got some league under that where maybe they have a job, but they're still making good money. And You know, whether it's volleyball or soccer or whatever, basketball, not volleyball, not beach. Indoors even we do, but not beach.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a shame because as a product, it's huge. Just pacing is huge.
Yeah.
We just don't have a framework.
Yeah. I wrote a blog post about this. I'm wondering if it's the fact that golf, there's a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
People want to get better, so they go and buy better equipment. So the brands have a lot of money that they can throw at the competitions, which then means that professionals can make money out of the sport.
Yeah.
Beach volleyball doesn't have so much equipment. There's basically a ball, but that's basically it. Like there's some net stuff, but you can buy that in bulk or together with other people. So I'm wondering if that's like a root cause.
I've been having this conversation for about 20 plus years, maybe 25. Our product are the people.
Yeah.
So we had a team called Team LM, which was LM Investments in Australia. They committed to about 1.5 million or so to this one team. And it was based off this sort of theory that I created. And everybody was salaried. They pay for there's a model out there where people can make a living at this. It's not the sponsorship model.
Okay.
And, so let's call it corporate ambassadorship. There's a way to structure this so that there's value for organizations that's not marketing.
Okay.
And you have to help them in their core business. So they have to make money in their core business. It has to be trackable and measurable.
Yeah.
So if you can fit that criteria where they can spend money they're going to invest anyway. So for example, everybody does professional development, leadership training, all that sort of stuff. Well, why couldn't their own team of athletes, corporate ambassadors, why couldn't that budget go to them to provide those services to the organization through corporate ambassadorship instead of outsourcing? They got the money, the budget. That's not marketing. It's not a marketing budget. It comes from different departments. It will be professional development, training, leadership, all that sort of stuff, team building, just events. There's tons of money in companies that's not marketing dollars, but we keep going after the marketing dollar, as competitive as it is. And here's the worst part about it. You can't own, if you're an investor, you can't own an athlete's image or title. So what happens? You invest your money into sponsorship, building up this person's image and title, then what do? They dump you, they go to your competitor or some other organization. It's a volatile, flaky investment. But there's ways to protect it. No competition clauses, all sorts of stuff where you protect your investment and athletes can come and go and you still have something of value, a separate entity that you own. That people can come in and service. And it's, like I said, you have to make money in your core business and it has to be measurable and trackable. And if it's not measurable and trackable, then you can only sponsor something for 2 or 3 years before you have to change your strategy. Like the recovery and the response, the system itself creates the problem. So you give me your marketing dollars to sponsor me. I can't show you how you're making money doing that. How long can you continue this strategy before you have to try something else? It's a setup. But if I can quantify it, if I can track it and measure it, and I can show you where you're making money, especially in your own core business, so you're not doing something else, not creating other income streams. The business you do, like a shoe company, Michael Jordan, they're selling shoes. They can measure it, they can track it. It's got his brand on it. They know how many Air Jordans they sell. And you're right. So, but we can influence. But here's the problem. All the national governing bodies, the international governing bodies, they all wanted to be the premier brand. But that's not how sports did it. Did the NBA make Michael Jordan or did Michael Jordan make the NBA? Like when you think about, and I'm not just talking about Michael Jordan and Nike, but the smart thing that the NBA and all these other sports have done, the NBA did it really well. They allow these other companies to invest their marketing dollars in these individuals who play in their league.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA didn't invest all these marketing dollars into Michael Jordan. Nike did that.
Mm-hmm.
Nike made Michael Jordan a superstar. Where he played, the NBA allowed him to be a basketball star in the NBA, but Nike made him a superstar, someone who can influence where you spend your money. And what do companies care about? Do they care about Michael Jordan being the MVP and the point scorer, or do they care about the number of shoes they sell? At the end of the day, it's business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to influence sales. And that's what we don't do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't even know who the national governing bodies are, and they don't care. They don't know who work. Who cares that the national governing body is the big brand? No. Who influences the purchaser?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that's your money.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a product. You're right. So the product is our people, but we don't promote our people. What superstars do we have? By superstar, I mean we have a few, but people who outside of the sport know them and are influenced by them.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Michael Schumacher,
Yeah.
Roger Federer. People don't have to play tennis to, be influenced by these people.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Michael Jordan. I don't play basketball. I'm wearing my Nikes and my Air Jordans.
Yeah.
That's what we need to be creating. But that's not the strategy. So it's sponsorship, it's media impressions, it's branding, it's same old, which at one point was good when we were beer and cigarettes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because they could track it and measure it. We're going to sell some beer and cigarettes here.
Yeah.
And when we got away from the lifestyle sponsors, we didn't. The model didn't match. Like the lifestyle companies, they did their own. They serviced themselves, and they measured and tracked it. So we didn't have to do it. We just have to associate. But now, when you're with the bank or you gotta. There's some activation. You gotta service that thing.
Yeah.
And you got to create some numbers and show them. You got YouTube channel. You got to have some metrics. No metrics, where's the money coming from?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. So for some reason, I don't know. It's like we think we don't need metrics, and just because people watch the sport, you should give us money. Why not convert those people watching into customers?
Then you're starting to get somewhere.
Got to have some influence.
Mm-hmm.
People. This is not rocket science. You got 12-year-old kids doing this stuff on TikTok and YouTube. Who, a 16-year-old girl who's making over 6 figures doing TikTok videos.
Yeah.
Not even out of high school. And she just went to New York or something, got a deal, like a sponsorship deal with Nike or something crazy. 16 years old, doing TikTok videos.
Mm-hmm.
She knows she has to influence people. She knows how to convert them into customers.
Oh.
What's up with us? Should be hiring her. You know what I mean? How do we convert these people into customers and measure it?
Yeah.
She did it. She's 16.
Yeah.
There's YouTube videos that tell you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, we're still on the old golf and tennis sponsorship models where we started.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Oh.
Serious. My 12-year-old's thinking about doing this stuff. Seriously. He's getting all this information. He knows he needs metrics.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Getting distracted here by this technology that is saying that we're almost out of battery. And
it's all good, man. I gotta go to bed too.
yeah, we should.
It's after midnight, so.
This has been fucking beyond amazing. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, man. And thanks for asking, man. It's been fun.
I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that we'll see who listens to this. Maybe someone that picks up. And now there is your contact info and all of that. So
Well, this is where I'm moving to now. Now that I'm not coaching volleyball with an organization, this is where I'm moving. It's really promoting higher purpose and promoting my brand. I had this book since 2013, 2014.
Can people buy that?
Yeah, Amazon. I
Kindle?
don't promote it because
Is there a Kindle version? Or
I think there's a Kindle version, yeah. But I brought it with me because I need to reread it and rewrite it. It's pretty. It wasn't the book I wanted to write.
Okay.
People read it and they say it's a good book, but I don't. It's not the book I wanted to write. More stories, more anecdotes. I had a business coach and he kind of kicked this book out of me, which is a great thing. But the challenge makes the champion. That is my life philosophy. It is the challenge that makes the champion. People think they're boring. You're not born a champion.
No.
You're built. Even people with great advantages and talent and everything, the ones who are sustained excellence, they are built. They build themselves. Nobody just shows up with talent and has a great career. That's the way it works.
No.
Challenge makes you champion, man.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Oh, you can just get halfway with the talent, but you're not gonna make it all the way.
That's right.
It's
frustrating.
No, it also makes life worth living. Like we need to have it's a game. It's fun to be challenged.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it an episode.
All right.
Almost 4.5 hours.
There you go.
This one is the longest I've ever done.
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. If listeners have any questions, then put them in the comments or send them my way or whatever, and then we'll see what happens in the future.
Cool.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Woohoo! You made it. Apparently, so that was apparently what a interview can be like when you let a beach volleyball nerd like me go crazy with an Olympic coach like Steve, and when you get into the groove. I hope that you have enjoyed this interview and that these 4.5 hours have been well worth your time. It's I haven't checked this up, but I'm pretty sure that this is the longest podcast interview in the beach volleyball world to date. So gotta break some records here. It's funny. A long interview can be both good and bad because obviously if it's too long, like some people might not feel like listening to something that's too long. But at the same time, the longer it is, the more time you have to deliver value. And I think that Steve did that in this episode. So I hope you don't feel like you've been robbed by your time, but that you're actually stoked that there's someone out there making this in-depth, long-form podcasts about beach volleyball and really going into the details of it. So here's the thing. Steve is a legend of the sport, but this interview, I think partly thanks to this interview having happened, I did get Kent Steffes onto the podcast, the original gold medal winner. He won the first Olympic beach volleyball gold with Karch Kirai. So I got him on the podcast, and that's going to be the next episode. So it's just like good things to lead to good things. And I'm going to tell you that episode is amazing too. So it's another one that you absolutely don't want to miss. The craziest thing is that, lo and behold, that episode is also 4.5 hours. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I hope people don't get scared about the length of this podcast, but the amount of value that Kent sat down and dropped at me is also just mind-blowing. Kent is a competitive guy. He talks a lot about competitiveness. In the end, we did the clock, and I think he actually ran for 4 hours and 35 minutes just to beat Steve. So there's some competitiveness for you. So I hope this episode is the record, but that record might get broken very soon when I drop the next episode on the Learn Beach Volleyball Fast podcast. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this. If you have any, Steve did say like, hey, let's do this again. So if you have any thoughts or questions for me or for Steve, or conversations or topics that you would like to hear us talk about, why don't you just drop them in the comments for this episode, and maybe if we're lucky we can make that happen one day. So podcasts don't have comments, but I'll do what I usually do, which is this episode is also on YouTube. So in the podcast description, I will drop the link to the YouTube video of this same episode, and on YouTube there is a comment section. So basically you just go and find this exact very episode on YouTube, and then you can comment there, and we can even have conversations in that comment field. All right, I think that was it. I mean, as always, subscribe to everything, subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel. You don't want to miss this stuff that's upcoming, and please tell your other volleyball nerd friends about the podcast, the YouTube channel, this episode, whatever you find valuable, because I don't know, it's just the more this thing grows, the easier it becomes to me to create these really valuable pieces of content for you. So it's just a win-win for everyone. The more of these high-profile legends I get on the podcast, the easier it becomes for me to get more of them onto the podcast. The more subscribers there is, the easier it becomes for me to make videos. And, it's just this upwards loop. And the more you guys help me, the more I can help you guys. And we can just create this epic project together. Learn Beach Volleyball Fast. I'm all about being open-minded and really looking at the nitty-gritty of how to learn this sport faster, better. And I tried to avoid some confusion. I was myself very frustrated when I started playing the sport, because coaches would say different things about things, how to pass. Like one coach would say something, another coach would say something else. I was confused. The coaches didn't usually tell me why they believed. So it was impossible or difficult for me to sort of figure out what I should believe in and whatnot. So I'm just here to try to bring some change to that and bring some light to some of the mysteries of beach volleyball that I haven't been able to find any answers to from other coaches. I've done a lot of research and thinking and trying and experimenting myself, and I believe I have found answers that I haven't been able to find anywhere else taught by anyone. And this project is here to bring this kind of stuff into the light for hopefully a brighter future for beach volleyball, where the skills aren't such mysteries anymore, but there's actually good explanations of how to learn the stuff that makes you a good beach volleyball player. So any help, anything, subscribing, sharing the word, everything, hiring me as a coach, whatever, buying my courses, everything just helps with this, and it will just help us all, because it will bring this project to light and to reality faster. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a good one, and see you soon in the next episode. Don't miss the one with Kent. It's amazing. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.